Okay, let me test. Can you hear me, members of the media? Am I audible? Otherwise, we just have to give it a minute or two for the mic. Can I get an indication if I'm audible? Am I audible? Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, sound.
Okay.
Answers will be.
It seems like I'm audible, but it would be ideal to get something. Yeah. All right. Good morning. Morning, all. Morning.
Morning.
All right. I just wanted to hear that I am audible. Today, the African National Congress is in Mamelodi to launch the People's March by the ANC, and the People's March will be ventilated further by the Secretary General when he reads out the statement. It's a People's March to shine a spotlight on service delivery challenges in the city of Tshwane under the DA-led coalition government over successive years. And with that having been said, I have with me the SG who is anchoring this presser. The SG is also being supported and flanked by the Provincial Secretary in our province of Gauteng, Comrade TK Minza, and supported by the regional leadership of Tshwane, comrades that you see before you. I won't introduce them, all of them. At the time when they respond to questions, I will then say, call on them to speak. And just in the interest of time. So we've got national ANC, we've got the provinces ANC who also have the regional leadership. And we have members of the media with us today. We are on the ground. We don't often do this unless it is required to do so. We normally do our pressers at Lutuli House. But because we are working very strongly to connect and reconnect with our communities, close the gap that is may have been created or suggested to have been created, we want to make sure that this engagement this morning is where the march is going to be taking place in the city of Tshwane. With that, I want to invite the Secretary General to speak to you about what it is that we're going to be doing when we launch the People's March.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen of the media, for gracing this launch of the People's March under the tagline, Buya Tshwane. Okay. So I'm with the regional leadership, office bearers, the chairperson, the deputy chairperson, the secretary, the deputy secretary, and the zonal chair. This is not really our reflection. We do have our women comrades in the region. We are expecting to be joined by the provincial chairperson of the ANC in Gauteng. Comrade Mahlengi, like he said, the ANC have decided to come and launch this campaign here in Tshwane because the People's March will take place here in Tshwane. We're reclaiming Tshwane with our people after 7 years of DA misrule. The African National Congress will embark on a local service delivery march on Tshwane on Friday, 17 March 2023. The ANC will launch the Buya Tshwane People's Campaign led by the Secretary General of the ANC, the Gauteng ANC leadership and the alliance partners, and our regional leadership in Tshwane. The march will also be joined by members of the National Executive Committee, the Progressive Youth Alliance, as well as progressive civil society stakeholders. The African National Congress believes that the emergence of coalition governments at local government level is a product of unintended consequence of service delivery lapses and intractable governance challenges faced by successive ANC local government leadership over the years. Coalition politics in Tshwane, under the leadership of the Democratic Alliance, have been steeped in skewed service delivery, which has very little to do with tackling the plight of poor black African people, who are in the majority. It is an open secret that the DA agenda remains the advancing of other political interests that do not include addressing the plight of the poor. The Tshwane City Council experienced instability when the governing DA-led coalition collapsed after only 2 years in office. The ANC lost power here in Tshwane in 2016, and this municipality have been under the DA coalition for since that period till to date. And we characterize that 7-year period under this coalition. The Tshwane City Council experienced instability when the DA governing coalition collapsed after only 2 years in office. The DA's first mayor between 2016 and 2019 was a gentleman well known here in Tshwane called Solim Simang, awarded a contract to engineering consultants Glad Africa. This was later found to be irregular by the Auditor General. Towards the end of 2018, the DA-led coalition acknowledged that the awarding of a tender to roll out infrastructure projects valued at 12 billion rand to Glad Africa was irregular, after a leaked preliminary report by the AG found it did not comply with municipal supply chain management regulations. As a consequence, in February 2019, the DA elected a new mayor, another showman, Mr. Stevens Mukhalapa. It is public knowledge that Mukhalapa's tenure was similarly troubled after he was overheard calling Tshwane Speaker Katlego Matheba a witch and accusing the MMC of Finance Marelise Fourie of leaking information. The litany of blunders committed by Mukhalapa exposed the DA-led coalition as troubled house of cards. These blunders led to a fractious alliance between the DA and the EFF. This led to the then Premier of Gauteng, David Makhura, placing the city under administration, as it had failed to carry out its constitutional obligations. The mismanagement of the city led to a collapse in service delivery, adversely affecting residents. Yet another DA mayor, Randall Williams, was elected as the executive mayor of the city of Tshwane on 20th October 2020. In January 2023, the Auditor General reported irregular expenditure under Randall Abrams of 10 billion rand, an unauthorized expenditure of over 600 million, fruitless and wasteful expenditure understated by over 1 billion rand, and unjustified supply chain management deviation of over 480 million. Furthermore, a material misstatement of assets under construction and disclosed as completed, which means they were overstated by 2 billion rand. Assets worth over 52 billion rand were not properly accounted for, not valued properly, and the impairment of those assets was not properly assessed, and leave pay amount of over 800 million not properly accounted for, as well as loans and bonds amounting to over 800 million were not correctly accounted for. On 13 February 2023, Williams announced his resignation as a mayor. Following these developments, Dr. Makwarela, a member of COPE, who took over on 28 February 2023, will resign less than 2 weeks later over an insolvency scandal. The dawn of democracy, when it forced its councillors to number their ballots. Once again, the DA did not fail to show its true colors when it unleashed the most anti-democratic tactic since the dawn of democracy, when it forced its councillors to number their ballots in order for their party agents to be able to identify who voted for which candidate. This is the most brutal attack on democracy, which suggests the DA places more importance to preserving its hold onto power over constitutional rights entrenched in our constitution. It was rather shameless of the DA to spend money on legal opinions in attempts to justify their scorn on the constitution. The DA over the last 7 years has been unapologetic in its segregated treatment of citizens based on class and race. It is precisely this conduct that has sown seeds of discord and mistrust in the successive DA-led coalitions in the city of Tshwane. Our commitment to uproot corruptions in all its manifestations has never been stronger. It is on that basis that we believe that the corruption, maladministration, and lack of transparency have been the hallmarks of governance in Tshwane since 2016. We have provided evidence of that, and this is precisely so because the DA-led coalitions are not grounded on principle, but rather on populism and a stubborn ideal to preserve the status quo at all costs. The DA in Tshwane, over the past 7 years, has focused on producing scandals and paid scant regard to service delivery outcomes. This is the reason the ANC, its alliance partners and civil society will lead the Buya Tshwane People's March. As the ANC, we believe that it is no small feat when the capital city of our country struggles to achieve stability. The people of Tshwane deserve better. We have lost power in Tshwane. In the last election in 2016, we didn't lose power. We didn't register outright majority. The DA came into power through a coalition. In the last election, we lost to the Democratic Alliance. We didn't win power. There is no reason for the ANC to fight for who becomes the mayor in Tshwane. We didn't win power. Power belongs to those who have won. But in this instance, this municipality has collapsed in the hands of the Democratic Alliance. And as evidence can point out, it was not due to instability or them being destabilized. As we have pointed out, It was an implosion from within, maladministration, mismanagement. We do not want to compare and say we did better, but we know what we did for the people of Tshwane, which has reversed the gains that the ANC have scored for the people of this region. Under the DA multi-party coalition, 85 million rand was paid to workers who never worked in the environment project. The revenue division has all but collapsed and the city fleet was recalled. And there is no tender in place. Furthermore, the yellow plant tender is in court and facing a protracted litigation process. All road projects have been cancelled, with all of them ironically in black communities. Where we govern well. That is the slogan of the DA. This is what is happening here in Tshwane. And all those things have actually been pinned on the African National Congress. That's what they say, not us. They say where they govern well. But not here in Tshwane, as we have actually seen. With all of them ironically in black communities. In addition, waste collection trucks have been reduced in regions, and this has affected refuse collection. The DA further cancelled employee work initiative programs, Wi-Fi services all over the city, which we introduced as the ANC, for school children, for communication, for businesses and all of that. All of those have been cancelled. There is no longer EWP, Public Works Extended Program on the ground here in the city of Tshwane. Townships and hotspots, and also destroyed township development. And most residents of Tshwane are currently struggling with access to road services and transport networks because the bus rapid transport system is no longer functioning in most parts of the capital city. The DA has claimed that where they govern better. Tshwane is a glaring demonstration that the opposite is true. We must ask the hard question: what has happened to all these initiatives and others intended to improve the lives of the people of Tshwane? They just disappeared. And all what has happened is the characterization of characters who have come to the Hollywood scene and acted and departed. But at the same time, they've not done what they claim they will do for the people of Tshwane. We know our history can speak for itself in terms of what the ANC have done here in the city of Tshwane. Enough is enough. We have come to a point where we need to stand up, and we can no longer allow to be lumped with the DA maladministration. And people still believe here in Tshwane it is the ANC that is responsible. It is not. We've got wards here of councillors who don't control the budget. The budget in the council is controlled by the DA coalition. Our councillors are chased, their houses are burnt down because communities think that it is them who are not bringing service delivery to their communities. They go to the council, the DA coalition doesn't listen to them. They bulldoze them because they've got the majority, and then pass the budget in favor of the constituencies in this city, which is not in favor of the black majority here in Tshwane. That is what is happening here in Tshwane. So Buya Tshwane campaign is about not only exposing, but campaign to say to the people of Tshwane, let us work together to reclaim Tshwane back so that we can continue with the work of social transformation and bring about a better life to all our people in Tshwane. This pattern of skewed service delivery, governance lapses, runs across all DA-led metros in varying degrees. This includes the city of Cape Town, where they claim that they are in charge and they govern well. But if you go to Cape Town, you will see this difference of skewed implementation of service delivery, where they run the municipality in majority. You must go and ask the taxi drivers and the taxi owners in the city of Cape Town what is happening to them in that city. You must go and ask the hawkers, small, medium enterprise companies, what is happening in that city with regard to their own development. All things have just crashed. You must go to Port Elizabeth, where they govern. They have governed under Trolip. We lost power in that city. They are still governing even now. They are in charge. And then they still blame it on the African National Congress. So the pattern of skewed service delivery, governance lapses, runs across all DA-led metros in varying degrees. This includes the city of Cape Town, Nelson Mandela Bay, Tshwane and Ekurhuleni, and Johannesburg. And that is what has actually happened. Even in Johannesburg, Johannesburg has never been under so many potholes. Even if you can blame the ANC and all of that for many other things, but Johannesburg never had so many potholes under the ANC rule. We can speak that truth when the time permits, when we arrive in Johannesburg. This is the truth behind the lie that DA governed Metro far better than the African National Congress. The Buya Tshwane People's March will take place as follows. On 17th March 2023, assembly time is 10 a.m. Meeting point is Maraba Start Bus Depot. End point is City of Tshwane Municipality. This coming Friday, 10 a.m. exactly. So that is the People's March and the People's Campaign of Buya Tshwane. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, SG. Thank you very much, SG. At this point, I'm going to invite the provincial leadership as well as the regional leadership just for a 2-minute reflection or comments.
Let's go to questions.
Okay, but I was being advised to allow for the provincial and the regional leadership.
This is a diluted message.
So the provincial and the regional leaders will help with fielding some of the questions that will come from yourselves. May I then invite any of the questions from members of the media? I'm going to start to my right. Yes, my sister over there, next to you, there's yes, next to you it will be yourself, the colleague that is seated down. Let's get started. Thank you.
My name is I don't know if you can hear me.
Yeah.
Yes,
Mba.
yes, we can.
We speak of 7 years SG under the DA, but one can even go back and say some of the problems in the city of Tshwane. When you look at the likes of Hammanskraal, they've had water challenges for almost 20 years. Surely as the ANC, when it comes to service delivery challenges, those are also responsibilities that you should take, and resulting in why you find yourselves in this position where you are asking for the vote back in the city of Tshwane. At the same time, when you look at what transpired this week in the city of Tshwane once more, what is your strategy looking like? Because the technicality there that saw you winning and seeing the speaker being installed coming from your alliance with the EFF and other smaller parties was based on a technicality from the DA. Do you have a renewed strategy there in terms of how do you reclaim Tshwane within the council, because the numbers are also not on your side, especially after tallying those numbers following that vote being done in council? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mbali. Over to you, my brother. Oh, yes.
Thank you very much. My name is Lunga from the Citizen newspaper. I just wanted to find out maybe firstly. I just wanted to find out maybe firstly to say how far are you with the under the Rita case, because we know that last week you mentioned that you have been proceeding with legal evictions if it doesn't include those names. And then you have been at the forefront of the march that's coming on the 20th, I think on Monday, the EFF march. But we know the province, the Gauteng province is working with the EFF in terms of coalition.
We've been in the forefront, what do you mean?
You've been in the forefront of saying, condemning the EFF march.
Okay, thank you very much, thank you. Say it again.
Please complete your question.
But we know that the province here in Gauteng, they are working with the EFF in some of the municipalities. You can say Johannesburg and here in Tshwane. Coming 2024, are you as the SG willing to work with the EFF on national government? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Can I take two last, from this side, just two questions, and then we'll have that as our first round. Do I have anything from this side? Nothing from that end. Okay. SG, maybe we'll check with those.
I'm going to ask TK to answer the question about the cancer, and then as well as the working relations, and then I'll sum up.
No, thank you very much. Maybe let's come to the issue of what would have happened in council. First of all, the doctor from Coke was a speaker of Democratic Alliance. They knew everything that would have happened with the speaker. In fact, it means that they were never loyal, or rather honest, all this time. So that tells you about their approach and their attitude as Democratic Alliance, that they are not an honest party. They'll do anything that it takes for them to hold on to power. They would have exposed him at the time where he dumped them because of the obvious reasons. Service delivery to our people. It's not only him who dumped them, by the way. They were betrayed by many other councillors. That's why even now they don't want to see democracy happening in council. Whether you want to say it's a technicality, a spoiled paper is a spoiled paper in all accounts. So I don't understand what's the technicality with a spoiled paper. Because they spoil their papers thinking that they are intimidating their own councillors, calling themselves Democrats that they do. It's unfortunate that they are even going to lose their mayorship in Tshwane. They will in fact fire all their councillors. As long as they don't believe in democracy, it's their problem. As the African National Congress in Gauteng, we are not in a marriage with, or rather alliance with the EFF. I think that must be cleared. Our focus is any party that has got an interest of our people who will work with them. We speak about the poor budget. If you look across the whole Gauteng, we have been under serious, maladministration from the Democratic Alliance, let alone the fact that our people are living in more dire situations than ever before. So the African National Congress was formed for its people more than its members. It will always have an interest of the people before anything else. So if there is a political party that has got the same interest when it comes to our people, we'll work with those people, especially where we have not won power. So I'm sure the SG will speak to the march of the EFF, but in Gauteng, we don't believe that our people must shut down. Those things will not assist the country. We are in the rebuilding process. Our people are unemployed. There are a number of issues that are happening in this country. And the EFF is its own party. We are encouraging our people in Gauteng to go to work, go to school, because we must better our country, and that's where we are. Thank you very much, and I think Comrade George.
Oh, Comrade George, come.
Thanks very much, Comrade SG. I think it's very unfair to want to think that the ANC has not done anything insofar as the water crisis is concerned in Hammanskraal. I think starting in 2002, the ANC built 4 reservoirs. Remember, Hammanskraal was not part of Tshwane before. It was in the northwest. So after the incorporation in 1999, incorporating the parts of Hammanskraal into Tshwane, in 2004, Tshwane, under the mayorship of Ntate or Reverend Smangaliso Mkachwa, built 4 reservoirs in Tshwane and the water treatment plant. Even in 2011, under the leadership of Sputa Ramokhupa, 2 more reservoirs were built in Temba treatment plant. So the ANC in 2016, when it lost power, it was in the process of dealing with the water crisis, because the issue of Rooiwal was initiated by ANC government under Sputa Ramokhupa. So it is most unfortunate that the work that we have initiated or started as the ANC in Tshwane was undermined severely by the Democratic Alliance government. That is why even now as we speak, there's nothing that has been done ever since. So it was a process. Remember, you can't do everything at the same time. But there's a lot of work that the ANC did insofar as the water crisis is concerned. Thank you very much, Comrade SG.
Thank you very much, Richard Secretary. SG.
Welcome to the Provincial Chairperson. Like I said at the beginning that he will join us because he was engaged in some government commitments. Thank you. First, I think the media must not become the spokesperson of the DA. It is unfair. And that is what made us to be at loggerheads with you in the last election. We are telling you what the DA has done here in their 7 years. You are telling us that you are balancing for them. Let them speak for themselves. Don't become a mouthpiece of the DA. The DA is a political party. They will counter this thing I'm saying here on their own. And I'm sure you are going to go to them now and ask them what Mbalula was presenting on behalf of the ANC. What do you say? That you don't do with the ANC all the time. You criticize the ANC, you show potholes where we govern, you become the mouthpiece, and all of that. That is unfair. All what we are saying is that the report balanced view. We are not in charge in Tshwane. The DA is in charge. The DA is in charge from 2016. The problems of Tshwane today, as we have elaborated them here in the statement, can't be blamed on the ANC maladministration or ill governance. How many mayors of the DA had to leave and fallen on their sword, some of them? You said nothing about them. Yeah, in Tshwane. Msimanga was assaulted by people in the factories here. Soli Msimanga, for chowing money of people here. You never investigated Mapungani and everything. The man was assaulted. Wabeta wabampunga. Soli Msimanga. I don't want to use another language because the bishops will call me. But he was beaten nicely. The mayor of the DA, second to that, Mukhalapa. Scandal after scandal. I don't want to mention because kids are watching television. You never said anything. Where was the ANC? When Mukhalapa was doing the things he was doing here in the city. Abrams. They went here with their movie, going up and down like Casey and Jojo, that government offices and departments are not paying for the electricity. All right? We pay for services here in Tshwane, the capital. Thereafter, what happened? This city, as I'm speaking to you now, city Buya, but it's bankrupt. It's bankrupt. Actually, this Buya Mteto, if we were anarchists and we don't believe in people's power, we would have said shut down. Shutdowns are not a solution to resolving people's problems in a democracy. That's why when truckers close the roads, we condemn them, because they affect delivery, they shut down the economy. Taxis and taxi owners, when they shut down and close the streets, we condemn them. When they march and chase foreigners who are illegal in the country, we condemn them. A political party with a legal standing that claims that it stands for what is good, and I don't know what is that terminology they use, the political party. We stand for what is good. We are guided by superior logic. Big terminology. Now that because it's a big terminology, superior logic will dictate that the constitution is the supreme law of the land. Superior logic will dictate that the rule of law is the fundamental principle that cannot be watered down in a democracy. Must be defended by all patriotic citizens. We shouldn't be condemning parties who are marching to criticize and calling our president to step down. It's not our business, it's their program. But to call for the country to shut down, we condemn. You are organizing anarchy and lawlessness in a democratic dispensation because you want to woo political support and want to plant the seed for an insurrection or political strike in the country, or if you like, the spring revolution, what happened in Egypt. We're going to an election next year. The masses will decide what must happen to this democracy. But shutting down the economy that is ailing, that has just been reeling from the effects of COVID-19 and all of that, and load shedding, and so on, it is rather overboard in terms of our democracy. And we don't only condemn as the ANC, we say no South African must be infringed from going to work and children going to school on Monday. It must be business as usual. Those who march must march. But to shut down the economy, it is anarchy at its highest order. Businesses have been written letters and told to shut down. Right in town, by a political party, closed down. The leaders of this political party must take responsibility for anything that will happen on Monday, and will take them on that. If lives will be lost on Monday, if shops will be closed on Monday, the leadership of the political party EFF must take responsibility. Must take responsibility. We are not against any march against our government, but to shut down the economy and call on illegal activities to happen in our country, that we frown upon and we condemn. We ourselves will be marching against the DA misrule, but will never shut down or infringe on the right of others from going to work, going to school, and doing whatever that they've got to do. My colleague here and comrade have answered the issue of Hammanskraal. Coalition governments in their very nature are based on temporary alliances. And we as the ANC, we are discussing the coalitions and the implication of coalitions in our democracy, and that the coalitions have brought us this that we see here in Tshwane and many other areas. What we do with the Reiter case, the Reiter was very brave and conducted a 2-hour interview and make claims about the ANC and drop names including ministers. We said to him, bring it on. The ANC have not sent anyone to go and steal or to be corrupt. And therefore, if you don't in 7 days respond, we'll take further action against him. He has gone underground. That bravery we saw on television about claims that the ANC is corrupt, we don't see it any longer in terms of the response. But we will trace him and find him and smoke him out wherever he is, because we are not going to allow anyone to say the African National Congress is corrupt. If Mbalula is corrupt, it's Mbalula. ANC didn't send me to go and steal anywhere. And if I'm found to have acted in a manner that seeks to undermine my position in any position, and the law enforcement pounces on me, the ANC is clear. I must step aside and face the consequences and be accountable. That's what the ANC is saying. It doesn't matter who he is, wherever they are. We said even if they are ANC members, they were at ESCOM, knocking at ESCOM, doing corruption and all of that. The Reiter, as an officer of the law, has got the right to report such activities. It is not the African National Congress. And if he is unable to give us that evidence, that there is somebody who have done, we will be the first to go to the police station and to the Hawks to report individuals that the Reiter have reported to us. But he doesn't have to report to the ANC. He must report to the Department of Priority Crimes, aka Hawks, in this country. That's what he's supposed to do. So we have not received any response. ESCOM has asked us to give them time to respond before end of the week. We'll wait for that, and then from there we'll pursue the matter, and our rights are reserved in relation to the issue. So it is not going to be flushed and we put it under the table, because our movement is battered with claims that we are corrupt when individuals perpetuate corruption. Of course, some of them have got tech of the ANC. I saw the other day 7 DA people and councillors arrested for corruption. I've never heard somebody saying DA is corrupt. It was said members of the DA were arrested. Some corrupt individuals and tenderpreneur do their things in the municipalities and wherever. It is said is the ANC. The ANC has strengthened law enforcement and ensured that it is strengthened even financially to do their work without fear or favor. And that is what we want. So with regard to the shutdown, the police must do their job. They must not be reminded to do their job. Rule of law must be respected in this country. And our people must be vigilant to people who are going to come to them but simply impoverish them in the name of fighting against poverty and underdevelopment in this country. We don't believe shutdown is a solution to the problems we've got in the country. And we don't speak for political parties. They can speak for themselves. We don't own them. They can speak for themselves. We can't call on the EFF when to march, when not to march. It's their right. But for a shutdown of the economy, blatant things we have seen, and arrogance, right into businesses, small businesses, black businesses, downtown in Johannesburg, that tomorrow they must close down. I mean, how do you call yourself being pious to the poor and then you go and write to them that tomorrow they must not do business? Do you know that those people cannot afford even a day to close their businesses? Kirispaza shop, some of which have been hijacked by foreigners, these spaza shops in the township. The spaza shops we own here cannot afford to close for a day. The EFF can afford to close spaza shops and the leadership of the EFF, but our people cannot afford that. They can't for a day to go home without selling anything. And small, medium enterprises have been written letters by a political party that fight for their rights to close down business tomorrow. Small businesses have been told. There is a letter here in the letterhead of the EFF regional leader writing to small, medium enterprises that they must close. If they care about black people and their businesses, why don't they allow them to open tomorrow? In their march, they write to black small businesses and tell them to close down. EFF, regional secretary or whatever that structure is, they write to our people and tell them to close down business tomorrow. Small, medium enterprise, there is a letter here. There are many, I've got them. And then they go around and say they are collecting tires, they are going to close the roads and all of that. That's a revolutionary party that South Africans must respect. When it says tomorrow, you must close down your businesses and not go to work, shut down. Taxis must not operate. You know, a taxi not to operate for a day, how much is that? For a march somewhere, that they must close the roads. You know how will it cost a person who will not arrive at work tomorrow? That person will be dismissed on Monday. There are people here in Mamelodi. There are people here in Garankuwa when the trains were not working. They told me that this train that breaks down midway to work, when I get to work, I'm going to be dismissed. Tomorrow, how many people are going to be dismissed for not getting to work because there is a shutdown? Big business in this country will not be affected. The poorest of the poor in this country, who are actually struggling as we speak in terms of this economy, are going to suffer with that shutdown. Kamalema, they are going to suffer with that shutdown. And then he says, he's fighting for our people. Fighting for power by shutting down the poor, not to work for a day. That is a revolution. No, there's no such a revolution. I can tell you, he will march on Monday. On Tuesday, the sun will rise from the east. This country will still be normal. He will never shatter this economy, but he will have disturbed a few of our people from getting a cent on the table. He will. Because those people are harmless, they will close their businesses and run away. But big business in this country will not close down. He will not shut this economy on Tuesday. Never. But I know most of our people here are going to be victims of some thuggery masquerading as political protest. They are going to be affected. It's easy to stop a taxi driver, a taxi owner. It's easy. Don't go to work, shut. Our people here are not going to go to work. We have been doing these things. We've been doing these things under apartheid, fighting the Boers. Yeah, it's easy to shut these people from going to work. On Monday, they are going to become victims of no work, no pay. You didn't come to work, Pete. You are not getting paid. Who said you must not come to work? Our people are still working for people in the gardens who are not transformed. Who said you must not come to work? Malema told you not to come to work. You don't come to work. Ekbetal Yoni. That's what is going to happen in this country. Then you call that a revolution. There's no such a revolution. There's no such a revolution. We need to be educated about the revolution then. Because that revolution, that shutdown is going to affect the poor, except the unemployed who are going to come to it, which the EFF has got all the right to march, to demand Ramaphosa to step down, to say the ANC has failed and all of that. It's fine. It's a political party, but they've got no right to infringe on the rights of others. The same as us, we are marching against the DA and saying to the DA, you have failed our people in Tshwane. And for the longest of time, we have allowed you to live a lie that you are governing and governing well. We are telling you a story now. Tell us that we are lying. Here is your story. It's well recorded. Here in Tshwane, the capital city, you are in charge. Leave Makwarela and his shenanigans. Because this Makwarela guy, you knew him for the longest of time. He's your man. He was working for you just like Solim Simanga. You've got all their scandals. And then when the time comes, you release them. Makwarela, you knew this guy was there. The day he was put to become the mayor, you're now exposing him. We as the ANC, when we send public representatives to parliament, including to local municipalities, we vet them. Why didn't the DA vet Makwarela? He was a speaker for 2 years. All of a sudden, immediately, the day he was elected in council, they told him, you won't last a day. Because he's a crook, he tried to do wrong things, and he went on and do crook things and so on. How would we know that we're supporting a crook? He even went to produce fake things. The day did not lapse before the office of the COJ could prove to him that he is lying. And then he's a doctor, well educated. What desperation is that? Why do you do that to your allies, to people who have put you in a position? But he comes from where? From the DA. He was as good, as useful as when time permitted. We want Tshwane to be back not for ourselves, but demonstrably for lifting our people and continuing with the work that we've been doing. That has been disturbed with the coalition that has come into power here. Thank you.
Thank you, SG. We were hoping to round this off, but I'm willing to take just one or two quick questions, and then we will offer a quick response to those questions. I see my sister over there. Yes, please proceed. I think you're going to round us off. You've already had a bite, so I'll start with you. Just raise the voice a bit.
Just what do you make of the developments, the latest developments, but in particular the DA's criticism of them saying that you are closely monitoring what's happening in Tshwane because the ANC is trying to steal back the capital city and trying to use the minority parties to weave your way back to the top in the capital city?
We are not stealing anything in the capital. The chairperson will speak. If we wanted to steal, we deserve to be on top. We gave it to Makwarela. Wamutsiba Makwarela. We gave it to him. We are coming in as nothing here. This municipality, my sister, has collapsed. Stop defending the indefensible. It has collapsed under the DA. Maybe you don't believe it. It has collapsed, this municipality. Moody's have downgraded them. They are bankrupt, this municipality. Billions of rents under, not under the ANC. 7 years, full DA rule in Tshwane. We are not stealing anything. We are trying to recoup what is left to save our people, because our people here are suffering. When you go to Soshanguve, you go to Atreshville, you go everywhere, people are saying, ANC, what's happening? We tell them that ANC is not in power in Tshwane. It's the DA. That is the truth. We can tell our people. We will forever be compared for what we do. I mean, about what we do, and that we want to do whatever that we want to do because the EFF is marching. EFF is not marching, it's shutting down the country. And then that's what they are doing on Monday. And they are telling us that we must not go to work. So if we wanted to take them on, and we are hooligans and anarchists, we will have set march side by side with them. Our march has got nothing to do with the things they are talking about. Our march is focused here on Tshwane. But I can tell you on that point also, you may be convinced or not convinced, but history will absolve us. The ANC have resolved that we must champion the cause of our people. The day of being worried about what is the position of TK, what's Mbalula's position in government are over. We must stand for our people and champion the cause. And that is what we're doing with Tshwane. We are standing up here in the capital. And we can't postpone our march with a month or any. This march is a launch of a campaign, protracted campaign, to reclaim Tshwane back. Buya Tshwane, working with our people. We can't stand on the ivory towers and shout Buya Tshwane as the ANC alone. We've got to work with our people. And working with our people means that we must get down to business. And the People's March is about that. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, SG. I'm going to ask the Chair to reflect on that specific question. And just before the Chair does so, do remember that Moody's have downgraded, and this is something that the SG has just said, has downgraded the city of Tshwane. We don't really hear much of that reportage about it. Do remember that the audit outcomes for the city of Tshwane have been really shocking. We're not reporting enough about those audit outcomes. And look at the tenure of the ANC-led Tshwane and do your own comparison. I wanted to just lift up those two things because these are independent assurance providers. It's not the ANC-influenced thing. The AG pronounces when they pronounce. I wanted to lift those things, the Moody's as well as the opinions of the Auditor General in respect of the performance of the city of Tshwane, particularly its financial performance. Over to you, Chair.
Thank you so much. Let me start by appreciating and thanking our SG, Comrade Mbalula. Comrade Mbalula, for supporting the People's March on behalf of the National Executive Committee of the African National Congress, and also appreciate the presence of our leaders. Our mission is to stabilize local government in our province. Local government in our province is going through difficulties. I'm not going to emphasize what Comrade Mahleng has just outlined about Moody and the issues that have been amplified by our SG. Reality is that we're having a government here that, according to the Auditor General, a very independent body, that it have achieved a disclaimer for the first time in the history of this municipality. A disclaimer means that the Auditor General could not express a view because what was presented to the Auditor General was either fraudulent or cannot be explained. And it's within that context that we felt that we need to stabilize Tshwane. And this People's March is an instrument of ensuring that we can express our views and bring back this municipality. And it goes, I mean, I received the report from the Auditor General yesterday. It's shocking. This municipality didn't even disclose to us and to its citizens that it was hacked and millions of rands were taken from the bank account of this municipality. I got that report yesterday from the Auditor General, that the bank account was hacked and the hackers took millions and millions of rands from the municipality. And the municipality has hidden that part. And it's a serious omission. They tried to recover some few of those millions that were hacked, that were taken. So we are very strong, and therefore we need to monitor how local government functions. And this People's March therefore emphasized that point to bring credibility and dignity of these municipalities back to the people of our province. You can say the same with Johannesburg. It was on the verge of collapsing. They had to call an emergency council meeting to go and borrow 2 billion rands. I think it's in public space. And the reason why they have to go and borrow that 2 billion rands is because they were not in a position to pay service providers. The cars that are used for service delivery were attached by the service provider because it was not paid. Similarly in Ekurhuleni, just go to Ekurhuleni now. They can't pay service providers for the last 2 years. And that is creating problems. So our presence in municipal meetings and our presence in activities of electing new office bearers is because we represent a political party. I went there representing the African National Congress. This inexperienced young man called Silas, he wrote me a long letter yesterday. And I told him in no uncertain terms, I don't account to him, I account to the African National Congress. And my movement, I can't explain my movement. If I'm in a council meeting, I'm in a council meeting because I'm the leader of the African National Congress in this province, and no one can dictate to me where I should go and where I must not go.
Yes.
And my presence demonstrates one thing, that African National Congress don't leave things to chance. We are there at the beginning, we'll be there at the end, we'll conduct, control, and provide guidance and leadership to our structures when they're confronted these things. The simplest thing is that they made a booby, they scored an own goal. The DA is selfish. They didn't want to vote for Action SA. If they had the new format of voting, why did they explain that within their coalition alliance, that this is how we're going to vote? Why should it be them only that vote in a certain pattern? But when it comes to a lie detector, they do a lie detector to everyone. But when it comes to a voting pattern, they don't tell other people. This was nothing else but a way of disowning and reaffirming their position that they will never support Action SA. And we really believe that Action SA was played here on this new form of voting. So we are very clear on how to. And the 69 votes that the DA marked them the way they've marked, they've broken the law. I've advised the MEC responsible for COCTA to check what kind of action can be taken. Secret ballot is a very important thing that cannot be played. It's not something that can be left to chance, and we are worried that those that claim themselves or they claim to be Democrats, when this matter is exercised, where a secret ballot is no longer a secret ballot, they're keeping quiet. Just imagine if it was the African National Congress that were telling its members, if you go to that particular booth, show us your ballot paper. Because that's what happened in the council. The reason why there was re-election is because every member of the DA, after voting, they were going to their chief whip to show them how they voted. And that's when it was discovered that it's wrong by the IEC, and a new format was formulated. In trying to bypass that new format, they came with 1-69 format that they know themselves that is wrong and cannot be acceptable. So it's within that context that we feel that those 69 councillors that voted the way they voted, it's a serious misconduct according to the Electoral Act, and we can't leave it hanging. And we are also demanding, using the Prior Act, to get access to say to the lie detector, those are public documents. It happened in a public institution. We want to know who failed the test and who passed the test, because the exercise that they've done it within an act of government inside a municipality. We want those files. We want to know who are these particular people that failed the lie detector test. You can't have a lie detector test without results. Why are they not publishing those particular results? Because the African National Congress was accused of bribing people. Because if people can't get their house in order, the easiest way is to accuse the ANC. And that's the easiest way, to accuse the African National Congress. We want those results. We want to know whether the former mayor voted for Celias or not. That's what we want to know. And why are they taking action against Nkele? They're not taking action against those that have not voted for Celias. So that's where we stand. But we are not going to fold our arms as the African National Congress when local municipalities are going through difficulties. We are here to protect those municipalities. We are here to stabilize those municipalities. And we want to take this opportunity to call upon all our people. The 17th of March in Tshwane is a very important date. It's the date where our people must come in their numbers to register one message and one message only. The DA has misruled this particular municipality. We want to reclaim this particular municipality and ensure that the nice things that our people had, our people never knew what road potholes were. Our people didn't know garbage not being collected. Our people had fun with Wi-Fi. Our people had a municipality that was financially viable and financially strong. Today we have a municipality that is on its knees. And there's only one movement that can save that municipality. And that movement is in black, green and gold. And it's called the African National Congress. There is no movement closer to it that can take this municipality back where it belongs. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairman.
I just wanted to for the last I know Somlomo Uyacha. Let me just clarify one point. There is an alliance and there is cooperation, right? And sometimes cooperation can melt down when it comes to ideology, right? And we as the ANC, we have sought to work with political parties that are on the left of politics in this country, not the DA. And we must understand our cooperation with the EFF in that particular context. It doesn't mean we agree with everything that the EFF does or stand for. Even the EFF doesn't agree with us for what we stand for and who we are. But if we are about to advance the interest of our people, and anyone else is ready to cooperate with us, we'll work with them. We work with PA, we work with a whole range of political parties. We said in our perspective, we're not gonna go for smash and grab in terms of power. And then we're not gonna go for power at all costs. Now here in Tshwane, we're not going for smash and grab. This thing is crumbling. And it has been crumbling on its own. And there is no justification that we can fold our arms whereas our people are suffering. And that is what is important. And it does not mean, if I were to assist you, that there are no challenges from before. But it cannot be when you are in power, you don't want to take responsibility. I cannot stand in front of South Africans and say, load shedding is happening in heaven. In some government not led by the ANC, we take responsibility. That is why we've got Ramukhob, the best minister you are going to see. Munna na tswere mo Tshwane. Mutloela mo jaifo wa hae, o jaifa umphala mara ke a leka mara ke fitli mo yena. But for the first time you will listen to a man who knows what he's talking about. Not manga. A person who knows what he's talking about. He needs our support for action. Because we know now that there are people who are masquerading in ESCOM, whom we have given responsibility as as officers of the law and practitioners of the law, who we have now discovered that they are politicians and they've got a particular ideology. Now, it has been confirmed beyond reasonable doubt by the writer what ideology he stands for. And that ideology he shares with the DA. We know that now. That there is sabotage, and sabotage is like a ghost, it's untouchable. It's not something that you can go to it and touch it. ANC can be sabotaged for getting out of power. Make it a point that this ANC does not deliver. That is why we are now putting our foot forward and getting our best horses to run. And Ramkhopa is one of our best horses, and they are going to work against him. But he must exploit the goodwill of our people within ESCOM to win the war. This government, they want it down, they want it gone. And this is the hope of the people of South Africa. Malema is not the problem for the ANC. The problem is bigger than that. Because he's making blunders, including impoverishing our people in the name of the revolution. Our preoccupation is not EFF. That's why we go apokfele kolitol. The people who govern us in this city is the DA. And they are governing even in other municipalities, and they've not produced the results for our people. And that's what has happened. And that's why we can't work with them anyhow, anywhere. And that is what has happened in this country. So we choose cooperation with people with the result that has been produced. And our people must see themselves that we are in these coalitions because majority of them here in Tshwane did not come out and vote. Remote tabeng kabaka la hore batho ba rona did not come out in their numbers and vote because they believe everything they see around here is the ANC responsibility. It's not. It is the DA that is in power, that we have long said that give them power, let them taste it, and look at what they are going to do to you. And they've not even gone for 10 years. They are still at 7. Yes, they've run down the municipality right in their hands. And that's what has happened here in Tshwane. And we are going to the streets. We are going with our people to reclaim Tshwane. And that's what we are doing, working with our people, not on our own. Thank you very much, Tlengi.
Thank you very much, SG. That brings this presser to an end. It's a date on Friday at 10 o'clock. Maraba Start Depot. This is where we start. I'm looking at the Tshwane Conference to correct me. And it is on. We're taking the battle forward. Thank you very much.
Thanks, man. Thanks.
Yeah.
Jola.
Yes.
Jola.
Slalo, Fikile Mbalula. Yes. Yes. Yeah.
They raised it in the council.
You must tighten the narrative. Yeah, that's the narrative. This thing of retreating from thugs. It's not right.
Let's go to the branches.
Yeah. Go to the mass.
We came to launch.
Yeah.
Quickly. You can leave for your appointment.
Okay, let's go.
I'm asking. I'm my brother.